In an instant, the sky above Earth shattered like glass, a cacophony of splintering reality. Millions of pedestrians halted mid-step, their eyes wide with disbelief, as cars collided in a symphony of metal and chaos. Phones flickered and lost signal, plunging the world into a deafening silence that seemed to swallow the very breath of humanity. Then, dark fissures stretched across the atmosphere, a portent of doom that sent shivers down spines. What first appeared as a natural disaster morphed into a nightmare of unimaginable proportions. From New York to Tokyo, from London to Dubai, every major city bore witness to a horror that transcended comprehension. Gigantic black portals erupted in the sky, revealing the arrival of something utterly alien, something not human. Terrified screams erupted from the masses as colossal metallic warships descended from the depths of the void, their surfaces pulsating with eerie crimson symbols. A voice reverberated through every device on the planet, an omnipotent proclamation. Civilization assessment complete, primitive species detected, beginning planetary purification. The invasion had commenced, and the very fabric of existence trembled in its wake. Within moments, entire cities were erased from existence, blue energy beams raining down like divine retribution. Buildings crumbled as explosions echoed across the landscape, while oceans turned into infernos. In a desperate attempt, human military forces unleashed missiles toward the alien armada, but they vanished into thin air, as if reality itself was shielding the invaders. Humanity stood on the precipice of annihilation, its last hope flickering like a dying ember. Deep beneath the ruins of Geneva lay the final underground command bunker, a sanctuary that trembled under the weight of despair. Kael Astra, a young man with bloodied features and a spirit weighed down by the burdens of leadership, awoke amidst the chaos. The room shook from the distant cataclysms, warning alarms blaring like banshees heralding doom. A glance at the shattered monitor revealed a grim message: human extinction, 99.98%. With clenched fists, Kael, the last commander of humanity, faced the abyss of despair. Just then, a soldier stumbled into the room, his armor battered and one arm missing. "Commander Kael," he gasped, panic lacing his voice. "They destroyed Lunar Fortress." A chill swept through Kael, the first true fear flickering in his eyes. Lunar Fortress was humanity's last bastion of hope. If it had fallen, all was lost. The soldier collapsed, a harbinger of the truth that echoed in the silence of the bunker. They're coming here next. They had fought bravely, but the truth bore down hard. Humanity had lost. High above Earth, a colossal alien ship emerged from the clouds, its scale dwarfing continents. The core, an eye of crimson light, illuminated the planet below before forming a monstrous beam of destruction. Horror gripped Kael as he realized the weapon, the Star Eraser, could annihilate all life in a heartbeat. Time slipped through his fingers like sands in an hourglass. Extinction was imminent. Suddenly, the lights in the bunker extinguished, plunging them into darkness. The alarms ceased, and time itself felt suspended. Kael stood, confusion washing over him. A strange blue screen materialized, pulsating with an otherworldly energy. "System God Core detected. Compatible host found. Would you like to rewrite humanity's fate?" His breath grew heavy as he contemplated the possibility presented before him. Outside, the world crumbled, but within this moment, a glimmer of hope emerged. With resolute determination, Kael raised his hand, whispering, "Yes." The moment he consented, the world fractured into a blinding white light. Kael felt as though his very essence was being torn apart, memories flashing before him, war, death, the agony of existence, until there was only darkness. In the void, a voice resonated. "System God Core activated. Initiating temporal regression. Returning host to the beginning." Kael gasped as he opened his eyes, air rushing into his lungs. Bright sunlight streamed through a classroom window. Laughter and chatter filled the air, a stark contrast to the chaos he had known. Confused, he looked around, his hands trembling as he recognized this place, the year before the apocalypse, before humanity faced its demise. The date on the television screen confirmed it. April 17th, 2099. His heart raced. He had returned to the past. Once more, the blue screen appeared, welcoming him back. Welcome back, Kael Astra. System God Core Online. Main mission, prevent human extinction. Reward, unknown. Failure, Earth destroyed. For the first time since the shadow of destruction loomed over him, Kael smiled, a cold, determined smile. This time, the future would be different. In the heart of Neo City, where the hum of flying vehicles filled the air and neon holograms flickered against the towering skyscrapers, Kael Astra sat alone, a silent observer, in a bustling classroom. His eyes were fixed on the glowing blue screen before him, the words, System God Core Online, pulsing like a heartbeat. A chill ran down his spine as he absorbed the implications of the message. Host synchronization, 1%, and first mission available. Everything was real. This was not a mere figment of imagination. He had returned to a time before the apocalypse. Around him, laughter and chatter echoed as students exchanged stories of their mundane worries, blissfully ignorant of the impending doom that loomed over humanity. Kael's heart sank as he recalled the burning skies, the cacophony of screens, and the heart-wrenching moment when humanity ceased to exist. Rage coursed through him, not fear, but an unyielding determination. This time, he would change the course of history. Kael? A soft voice pierced through his reverie. He turned slowly to find Elena Vale standing beside his desk. Her long silver-black hair framed her face, and her sharp blue eyes were filled with a mixture of concern and curiosity. Elena, one of the brightest minds at Neo City Academy, would one day become a beacon of hope in humanity's darkest hour. "You okay? You suddenly froze," she said, her brow furrowing slightly. Kael stared at her, feeling the weight of their shared past press heavily on his shoulders. In the future he had fled from, Elena's life was extinguished during the first wave of the invasion. He still remembered her words, spoken amid the chaos. Humanity still has hope. Clenching his fists, he vowed to protect her this time. "I'm fine," he replied, forcing a calmness he didn't feel. Elena's frown deepened. "You don't look fine." Before Kael could respond, the classroom television flickered to life, drawing the attention of all the students. Static crackled before a nervous reporter appeared, delivering a chilling update. "We are receiving strange reports from multiple observatories around the world. Unknown energy fluctuations have been detected near Earth's upper atmosphere." A flicker of alarm ignited in Kael's chest. It had begun earlier than expected. The classroom buzzed with disbelief and speculation. Aliens? Probably fake news. But Kael knew better. The portals would open in exactly 93 days, and once they did, everything would change forever. Suddenly, the blue system screen reappeared before him, announcing a new mission. Prepare humanity for first contact. Time remaining, 93 days. The gravity of the situation settled in his mind like a stone. Humanity had mere days left. After school, Kael walked through the crowded streets, the vibrant city around him contrasting sharply with the dark thoughts in his mind. Holographic advertisements illuminated the night, laughter echoed from nearby restaurants, and children played without a care. They were living in the last days of peace, unaware of the storm brewing on the horizon. He paused, glancing up at the sky. In the distance, a tiny black crack appeared among the clouds, a fleeting glimpse of the dimensional barrier weakening. The invasion fleet was coming. His heart raced, as a warning flashed across his vision. Void signal detected. Enemy civilization approaching. "So it begins," he murmured to himself. In that moment, a luxurious black vehicle pulled up beside him, and the door swung open. Armed men emerged, one displaying a badge with an emblem he recognized all too well, the World Security Bureau. Kael's heart quickened as he saw Commander Marcus Kane step forward, his cold eyes meeting Kael's with an intensity that suggested he saw a dangerous criminal. "Kael Astra, you need to come with us." The street fell silent, the crowd retreating nervously. Kael felt a strange mix of emotions. He had anticipated this moment. The System God Core had activated, drawing attention from those in power. As he stepped into the vehicle, he felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. Inside, the tension was palpable. "How did you predict the atmospheric anomaly before our satellites detected it?" Marcus asked, studying him intently. Kael met his gaze, the confidence in his response unwavering. "Because this is only the beginning. In 93 days, the sky will open, and humanity will begin its war against extinction." The atmosphere thickened, as Marcus and the soldiers processed his words. Was he mad, or did he truly possess knowledge from a future they could not comprehend? Kael knew he had to convince them. As the vehicle trundled into the underground base of the World Security Bureau, Marcus regarded him with apprehension. Kael entered the control room, a chaotic hub of urgent activity. Holographic screens displayed the Earth, with ominous red dots flashing near the solar system's edge. Void Empire scout drones. A female scientist approached, her expression pale as she announced, "The objects are accelerating." The room fell silent as Marcus turned to Kael, realization dawning. "You knew this would happen." Kael's calm demeanor contrasted sharply with the growing panic surrounding him. Then the lights flickered, and alarms blared. A crimson symbol appeared on every screen, and a chilling voice echoed, marking Earth as a primitive civilization. Fear gripped the room. Kael remained composed, knowing that this was just the beginning of their reckoning. As Marcus stepped closer to him, a surprising question emerged. "What do you need?" Kael seized the moment. "I need unlimited access, military resources, scientific authority, and complete secrecy." The room erupted in disbelief, but Marcus's expression shifted, revealing a flicker of trust. Kael's heart raced as he spoke. "If I agree, can humanity survive?" After a tense pause, he answered, "Yes, but only if you obey every order I give." A hush fell over the room, the weight of his words settling heavily. This was a gamble, a leap of faith into the unknown. Meanwhile, far beyond the fringes of the solar system, the Void Empire's colossal warships advanced through the darkness, their crimson lights piercing the void. At the helm sat Zareth, the Supreme Emperor, his golden eyes surveying Earth with predatory curiosity, a sinister smile playing across his lips. "A new civilization, let us see how long they survive," he mused, the fate of humanity hanging in the balance as Kael prepared for the fight of their lives. In the dimly lit confines of the underground command room, a palpable tension hung in the air, thick enough to cut with a knife. The flickering overhead lights cast restless shadows on the faces of the officers and scientists, all of whom directed their anxious gazes toward Kael Astra. His presence had morphed from that of an enigmatic figure to a beacon of hope, or perhaps dread. Everyone in the room was acutely aware of the gravity of the situation. Humanity had just received its first direct message from an alien civilization, and the weight of that revelation pressed heavily upon them. Commander Marcus came, a man usually defined by his stoic demeanor, crossed his arms tightly as he stepped closer to Kael, his brow furrowed in deep thought. "You said humanity can survive," he stated, urgency lacing his voice. Kael met his gaze with a steady nod. The silence that followed was deafening, punctuated only by the distant hum of machinery. "Then tell me," Marcus pressed, his voice a low whisper, filled with the weight of countless lives resting on their shoulders. "Where do we start?" Kael's gaze drifted towards the massive holographic Earth that floated like a trembling orb above the command center. He took a breath and replied, "With technology." The officers exchanged bewildered looks, their confusion palpable, as if the very air had shifted around them. A scientist, his brow knotted in skepticism, blurted out, "Humanity already possesses advanced military technology." Kael shook his head slowly, a chill creeping into the room as he began to walk toward the central display. "No," he countered firmly, his voice unwavering. "You possess outdated weapons." The atmosphere grew heavier, thick with disbelief and fear. With a deliberate movement, Kael touched the projection of Earth, and instantly, several red markers flared to life across the globe. "These cities die first during the invasion," he announced coldly, naming them one by one. New York, Shanghai, Berlin, Moscow, Neo City. As each name fell from his lips, an icy grip of dread wrapped around the hearts of those present. Kael continued, "Human missiles cannot damage Void Empire shields. Modern aircraft are useless. Even nuclear weapons fail." As if to punctuate his dire proclamation, a nervous voice broke through the silence. "Then how did humanity survive in your timeline?" Kael's eyes darkened, shadows flickering across his face. "We didn't?" The finality of that statement hung in the air, a specter of despair. Suddenly, a blue system screen materialized before Kael, illuminating his face with its eerie glow. "Tier 1 technology available," it read, and the room collectively held its breath. Celestial railgun blueprint unlocked, it continued, igniting a spark of hope. Kael's eyes narrowed. Finally, they had the first weapon. The download completed in less than a heartbeat, and an overwhelming torrent of information flooded Kael's mind. Energy systems, magnetic acceleration theory, quantum cooling designs, alien material structures. Each piece of data struck him like a tidal wave, causing his head to throb painfully. But he pushed through, driven by the certainty that this technology could alter humanity's fate. Grabbing a digital tablet, Kael's fingers danced across the screen, equations and advanced weapon schematics bursting forth in rapid succession. The scientists nearby gaped in astonishment. This technology doesn't exist, one stammered, disbelief etched across his features as he leaned closer. These energy outputs are impossible. Kael, unfazed, responded with a quiet certainty. They become possible today. Minutes passed in tense silence as Kael finally placed the tablet on the table, its display revealing humanity's first anti-alien weapon. Celestial Railgun, Mark I. Its capability to pierce Void Empire shielding systems was a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. Marcus studied the blueprint intently. "Can we build it?" he asked, urgency in his voice. "Yes," Kael replied, but the reality hit hard. "But we only have 90 days. A nervous laugh escaped one scientist's lips, a desperate attempt to break the tension. "This has to be fake. No human could create this technology." Kael's unwavering gaze found the scientist's eyes. "You're right, because humanity hasn't created it yet." Marcus turned to the engineering teams with a commanding demeanor. A senior engineer swallowed hard, a bead of sweat tracing down his temple. "If these calculations are real, maybe 3 months for a prototype." Kael shook his head vehemently. "We don't have 3 months." With a fierce intensity, he pointed at the blueprint. "Use AI-assisted construction, redirect orbital mining resources, and shut down Project Titan immediately." Gasps echoed around the room. Project Titan was humanity's largest military initiative, worth trillions. Marcus's eyes narrowed, suspicion creeping into his mind. "How do you know about Project Titan?" "Because it fails." Kael's calm answer sent a shiver down Marcus's spine, realization dawning that Kael possessed knowledge of the future that was both terrifying and awe-inspiring. Suddenly, the tranquility shattered as a technician shouted, "Commander, unknown objects entering Earth's atmosphere." The room erupted into chaos as everyone turned toward the holographic screen, witnessing 3 crimson objects descending from the sky at an alarming speed. The first alien machines had arrived. Panic exploded across cities worldwide. Videos flooded the internet as people screamed, watching the burning red probes streak across the sky like harbingers of doom. Governments scrambled to calm the public, but fear rapidly took hold. Humanity was stepping into a new era, and the future seemed uncertain. Kael's eyes followed the descending probes, the gravity of their presence sinking heavily in his chest. "Destroy them before they transmit Earth's defense data," he commanded, his voice steady but laced with urgent intensity. Marcus sprang into action, activating military command channels. All air forces prepare for interception. Missiles launched across multiple continents, and jets roared into the skies. Humanity's first battle had begun. Minutes later, live combat footage flickered on the screen. A missile struck one of the probes dead on, and for a heartbeat, hope ignited in the control room as people celebrated. But the smoke cleared to reveal the probe untouched, not even a scratch. Fear washed over the command center like a cold wave. The crimson probe halted ominously above the Pacific Ocean, its surface splitting open with a slow, deliberate motion. A giant glowing eye emerged at its center. "No," he whispered, dread pooling in his stomach. Marcus turned to him, alarmed. "What's wrong?" "If the scan completes..." Kael clenched his fists tightly, his knuckles whitening. "The Void Empire fleet will accelerate its invasion." The countdown to humanity's survival had just ticked down further. In that moment, the system screen flashed again. Emergency mission activated, with an objective to destroy the first Void probe. A reward of a celestial combat suit glinted on the screen, but the consequences of failure loomed ominously. An invasion arrival time reduced by 50 days. As the room fell silent, Kael's gaze locked onto the massive red eye hovering above Earth. For the first time since returning to the past, a resolute decision surged within him, shocking everyone present. "I'll destroy it myself." And so, as the weight of destiny pressed upon him, Kael prepared to confront the looming threat, knowing that the fate of humanity rested on his shoulders. End of Chapter 4. Next chapter, the first battle. As the alarms blared through the dimly lit control room, the air crackled with tension, thick as smoke. Military officers shouted over one another, their voices rising in a cacophony of disbelief and fear. "You can't be serious," one shouted, his face pale with the weight of the impossible situation. Another officer exclaimed, "That thing survived direct missile strikes." Their eyes darted anxiously to the massive crimson probe, floating ominously above the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean, a silent harbinger of doom. But amidst the chaos, there stood Kael Astra, unyielding and composed. His azure eyes were fixed on the probe, reflecting not the panic that gripped his colleagues, but a steely resolve. He remembered this moment, the haunting echoes of a previous timeline where humanity had failed to destroy this very machine. It had scanned the planet, and soon after, the Void Empire's invasion fleet had descended like a storm, leaving billions dead. This time, he vowed, it would be different. Commander Marcus Kane stepped forward, his brow furrowed with concern. "You said you'd destroy it yourself," he stated, his voice steady but tinged with uncertainty. "How?" Kael turned towards the holographic display that flickered with data and satellite maps. "Do we still have access to the Solaris orbital platform?" he inquired, his tone calm, despite the whirlwind surrounding them. A technician shaking slightly responded, "It's an unfinished orbital construction station. It doesn't even have combat systems." Kael nodded, his expression unwavering. "That's enough," he said, silencing the room. The control room fell into a heavy silence as Kael's fingers flew over the console, typing commands with purpose, orchestration amidst the chaos. Satellite maps and energy grids illuminated the darkened space, reviewing the orbital trajectories needed to form a weapon of hope. Marcus watched intently. "What are you planning?" he asked, a hint of skepticism in his voice. Kael replied, "I'm creating humanity's first space weapon." The weight of his words hung in the air, igniting a flicker of hope in the hearts of those present. Meanwhile, high above the ocean, the Crimson Void probe continued its relentless scanning, its glowing eye roaming across continents, cities, military bases, and gathering humanity's secrets. With each sweep, global panic escalated, news broadcasts spiraled into chaos, people flooded the streets, and governments declared states of emergency. The image of the floating crimson eye became synonymous with fear, a specter looming over the world. Inside the control room, Kael abruptly ceased his typing, turning to face Marcus with a grave expression. "I need authorization," he commanded. Marcus, sensing the gravity of the moment, asked, "For what?" Kael pointed toward the orbital platform. "To overload the fusion reactor." Gasps echoed through the room, disbelief and fear merging into a palpable tension. One scientist shouted, "That would destroy the entire station." "Yes," Kael replied, his voice cold and resolute. "But it will also destroy the probe." Silence enveloped the room as the weight of Kael's words settled in. They understood the risk. If he failed, humanity would lose its only orbital platform. But if they did nothing, the invasion would arrive far sooner than anticipated. Marcus stared at Kael, weighing the fate of humanity against the uncertainties ahead. Finally he asked, "How certain are you?" 87%, Kael answered without a hint of hesitation. A murmur rippled through the officers. It was almost inhuman, this level of confidence in the face of despair. Marcus exhaled slowly, then activated his command badge. "This is Commander Marcus Kane. I'm authorizing Operation Eclipse. Transfer full orbital control to Kael Astra." The room erupted into a frenzy of protests, but Marcus stood firm, resolute. Deep inside he had made his choice: trust Kael or watch humanity perish. High above Earth, the Solaris orbital platform began its slow, deliberate rotation, engines igniting in a symphony of power and purpose. Kael monitored the trajectory calculations, tension coiling in his gut. The blue system screen flashed to life. Tactical prediction activated. Success probability rising. Current chance 34%. With determination, Kael typed additional commands. Redirect all remaining satellite reactors into the station core. A scientist gasped. That'll create a chain reaction. But Kael remained unshaken. That's the point. The orbital platform began to glow blue, its fusion core on the brink of overload. Alarms blared, warning of impending catastrophe, but Kael's focus sharpened. Far below, the void probe ceased its scanning, sensing the impending threat. Countless gazes turned skyward as the countdown began, echoing like a drumbeat of fate. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Humanity held its breath, millions witnessing the moment live, suspended between despair and hope. As the crimson eye of the probe charged with furious energy, Marcus's voice broke through the tension. Can it escape? Kael's response was quiet yet resolute. Yes, if we're too slow. The countdown continued. 5, 4. The tension was suffocating, the air thick with anticipation. In that instant, the probe unleashed a massive red beam, a harbinger of destruction, hurtling toward the orbital station. As the countdown reached 1, Kael clenched his fists, whispering, "Come on." Then the Solaris orbital platform collided with the void probe, and the sky exploded into a brilliant blue-white shockwave, illuminating the Earth in a blinding light. For several seconds, the world was engulfed in brilliance, a moment of pure, raw power. As the smoke cleared, silence fell over the control room. Eyes wide with disbelief, they stared at the screen. Nothing remained. The void probe was gone, destroyed. A profound quiet enveloped the room, as if the universe itself held its breath. They had achieved the impossible. Alien technology had been obliterated for the first time in history. Yet just as hope flickered to life, the systems blinked. A new message appeared. Threat assessment updated. Primitive civilization reclassified. Danger level rising. Far beyond the solar system, Zerath of the Void Empire opened his eyes, his golden gaze fixed on Earth. A smile crept across his lips, but it quickly faded, reflecting the cold realization that humanity had struck back. Back on Earth, the blue system screen flashed before Kael. Emergency mission completed. Reward acquired. Celestial combat suit, Mark 1. Humanity survival probability increased. Current survival chance, 0.003%. Kael stared at the number, the weight of their victory crashing against the stark reality of their existence. Even after their triumph, the survival chance remained terrifyingly low. But now, for the first time, it was no longer zero. As dawn broke across the Earth, the world felt transformed, the air thick with tension and the remnants of disbelief. Every news channel replayed the same haunting footage, the destruction of the alien probe hovering ominously in orbit. A grand explosion lit up the morning sky, painting it with hues of orange and crimson, and humanity collectively held its breath. Some hailed this as a miracle, a triumph against the odds, while others whispered of impending war, their hearts heavy with trepidation. Only one man understood the deeper truth buried beneath the chaos: Kael Astra. Deep within the underground headquarters of the World Security Bureau, a vast control room pulsed with a palpable silence. Officers stood frozen, eyes glued to Kael, not as a suspicious civilian, but as the man who had momentarily saved Earth. The glint of the monitors reflected the anxiety etched on their faces as Commander Marcus Kane approached, shadows dancing across the room. "You knew that would work," he stated, a mixture of awe and dread in his tone. Kael's calm demeanor belied the storm brewing within him. "Yes," he replied simply, looking toward the holographic projection of Earth shimmering before them. The weight of his words hung in the air. Humanity is still losing. The tension thickened, an invisible shroud enveloping the room. An officer's frown deepened. "But we destroyed their probe." Kael nodded gravely, his eyes narrowing. "And now they'll take us seriously." The unspoken fear settled heavily as they all understood the implications. The enemy would no longer underestimate Earth. Just then, a blue system screen flickered to life before Kael, illuminating the room with its electric glow. "Reward deployment authorized." The announcement echoed, and a strange blue light enveloped him, causing officers to instinctively step back, weapons raised in caution. "What the hell is that?" someone shouted. Yet Marcus, eyes narrowed but unwavering, remained rooted in place. He trusted Kael now. The blue light intensified, countless glowing fragments swirling in the air around Kael, a dance of technology that was beyond human comprehension. As the fragments joined together, forming arms, armor plating, and energy lines, awe replaced fear. Within moments, a sleek black and silver combat suit enveloped Kael's body, pulsing with blue energy, alive and thrumming like a heartbeat. The room fell silent. disbelief etched on every face as they beheld the marvel before them. The suit was not merely armor, it was a symbiotic extension of Kael, as if he had been forged into this new identity. As he flexed his fingers, the suit responded seamlessly, a testament to the advanced nanotechnology that coursed through it. This was no ordinary equipment, it was a harbinger of hope. Marcus stepped closer, his voice barely above a whisper. This technology isn't human. Kael met his gaze with a solemn nod. No. He strode forward, each step resonating with the gravity of his newfound power, and the officers unconsciously parted for him, sensing the shift in his essence. He no longer appeared merely human, he was something extraordinary, a figure sculpted by destiny itself. Suddenly, warning alarms blared, shattering the moment of reverence. Unknown object entering atmosphere. Panic surged as the holographic screen displayed a massive burning object screaming through the sky, a harbinger of doom. "It's going to crash into Neo City," an operator yelled. Chaos erupted as Marcus turned to Kael, desperation in his eyes. "What is it?" Kael's expression darkened. "A void drop pod." The room froze as the gravity of Kael's words sank in. The aliens were no longer content with mere probes, they were sending ground forces. Outside, screams filled the air as the burning object tore through the sky, crashing into the heart of Neo City, igniting a cataclysmic explosion that shook the very foundations of the city. From the depths of the crater, something stirred. A metallic structure opened, releasing blue steam that coiled into the air. Then, from the chaos, emerged a monstrous creature, over 3 meters tall, its black armored skin glimmering in the flames. The first Void Soldier had arrived, and terror swept through the streets as civilians fled in a frenzy. Back inside the headquarters, Marcus's horror was palpable. "That thing is unstoppable." Kael turned toward the exit, his voice steady. "No, not anymore." Blue energy flared across his combat suit, illuminating the darkened room as he prepared to confront the impending doom. Marcus stepped forward, urgency in his tone. "You're going alone?" Kael paused, a weight settling upon him. If humanity wants to survive, someone needs to show them the enemy can bleed. The underground doors creaked open, revealing the burning cityscape beyond. For the first time since the dawn of the invasion, hope flickered to life. Kael Astra would become the first celestial soldier, a warrior forged from the ashes of despair, ready to fight back against the encroaching darkness. Meanwhile, far away, within the Void Empire flagship, Zerath watched Earth through a holographic projection, his golden eyes narrowing with intrigue. Interesting. A primitive civilization created a compatible host. Rising from his throne, the alien emperor acknowledged a growing interest in humanity, his thoughts swirling with the potential of this newfound adversary. And thus, the stage was set for an epic confrontation, the battle for Earth, ignited by the courage of one determined soul. End of Chapter 6. In Neo City, chaos reigned as flames danced hungrily against the darkening sky, smoke curling like ghostly fingers to choke the sunlight. Emergency sirens wailed a mournful tune, echoing off shattered windows and crumbling walls, a dissonant dirge for the city that once thrived. Streets lay strewn with debris. Twisted metal and shattered glass formed a grotesque tapestry, blocking the desperate flight of panicked citizens who fled with wild eyes and racing hearts. At the very heart of this inferno stood the Void Soldier, an ominous figure within the massive crater it had carved into the earth. Its glowing red eyes pierced through the haze, scanning the surroundings with a dispassionate intensity. The metallic skin glimmered in the firelight, a harbinger of destruction that only sought one thing: annihilation. A police officer, fear gripping his very soul, raised his rifle with shaking hands, his voice a mere whisper amidst the chaos. "Fire!" His command shattered the silence, followed by a cacophony of gunfire that erupted into the night. Bullets struck the creature, their impact as harmless as raindrops against a stone, the Void Soldier merely turning its head with a slow, deliberate grace. Then, with a sudden terrifying vanish, it disappeared, leaving behind only a whisper of dread. A shockwave rippled through the street, knocking officers off their feet as the creature reappeared before them, claws poised to strike. Blood spilled into the air, painting a gruesome portrait of violence, as armored vehicles were torn apart like paper. Screams filled the atmosphere, a haunting symphony of horror, the realization dawning that this was not a battle, but a merciless slaughter. High above, amidst the stars, a blue streak tore through the sky. Kael Astra, the guardian of humanity, soared toward the chaos below, the celestial combat suit enveloping him in a radiant glow. The wind howled past him, shattering windows with his descent. His eyes narrowed as he locked onto the monstrosity below, the first of the Void Soldiers, a nightmare come to life. In a previous timeline, one like it had laid waste to entire cities, but this time, Kael felt the tide of fate shifting. With the activation of combat mode, the suit's systems whirred to life, analyzing the threat before him in a heartbeat. Displays flickered across his visor, pinpointing weak points, predicting movement patterns. He was ready. The Void Soldier, sensing the new threat, turned its scarlet gaze upward. For the first time, it encountered an adversary who could challenge its malevolence. It let out a bone-rattling roar that echoed through the streets, shaking the very foundations of the city. Kael descended like a meteor, crashing into the ground with an earth-shattering boom, sending debris flying in all directions. Smoke billowed around him, and for a fleeting moment, hope flickered in the eyes of the civilians as they beheld the figure of a warrior clad in luminous armor. The Void Soldier lunged first, its claws slicing through the air with lethal precision. Yet Kael, buoyed by the suit's anticipation, dodged effortlessly to the side, retaliating with a powerful punch to the creature's chest. The impact resonated like thunder, staggering the Void Soldier for the first time since its arrival on Earth, the monstrous being feeling the sting of pain. Meanwhile, deep within an underground headquarters, scientists gasped in disbelief as the battle unfolded live on screens worldwide. Marcus Kane, a figure of authority, observed the scene, his heart racing as he witnessed Kael move with a grace and power that seemed almost beyond human comprehension. The Void Soldier roared again, its body flaring with an ominous red energy as it entered a berserk state. It charged forward, claws aimed at Kael, but a shimmering blue shield manifested around the warrior. The impact rattled the surroundings, turning cars into airborne projectiles. Yet Kael remained steadfast, rooted in place like an immovable force. Again and again the creature struck, but the celestial suit calculated every movement with precision, allowing Kael to counter each attack with stoic resolve. In his heart, he felt the weight of past failures, the horrors of another timeline flooding his mind. But here, in this moment, he refused to succumb to despair. Finally, summoning all the energy within him, Kael stepped forward, blue energy coalescing around his right arm. A warning blared through the suit, but it was too late. He unleashed a devastating punch that sent a shockwave rippling through the city, obliterating buildings in its wake. The Void Soldier was propelled backward, its armored chest shattering, black blood spilling onto the concrete. As the monster struggled to rise, Kael appeared before it, his eyes piercing into the creature's own, a calm authority embracing him amidst the chaos. "You chose the wrong planet," he declared, raising his hand as a blade of pure blue energy materialized. The Void Soldier's desperate roar echoed through the air, but it was futile. Kael swung once, and silence fell as the creature's head tumbled to the ground, the first alien soldier on Earth vanquished. Across the globe, billions watched in stunned silence as humanity witnessed the impossible. One man, standing tall against the dark tide, had defeated an alien monster alone. Social media exploded in fervor, the question on everyone's lips: who is Kael Astra? Yet, as Kael reigned victorious, the alarms of the underground headquarters blared once more, warning of an unknown transmission. An ominous red symbol flickered on screens as the dead Void Soldier began to glow. Kael's heart raced. No. The creature's chest opened, revealing a crimson device, sending a transmission far beyond the solar system. In the Void Empire flagship, Zerath, the Emperor, gazed upon a holographic image of Earth, and for the first time, Kael's face flickered into view. A smile crept across Zerath's face. "So, the humans finally produced a worthy opponent," he whispered, his golden eyes narrowing with intrigue. "Prepare the Harbinger fleet. This planet just became important." Back on Earth, the blue system screen appeared before Kael, marking his victory. Yet the survival probability remained agonizingly low, at 0.01%. He stared at the number, feeling the weight of the world pressing down upon him. But within that terror, a glimmer of hope sparked. The future of humanity was beginning to change. In the heart of a world gripped by fear, the the truth could no longer be concealed. Aliens existed, and humanity stood at the brink of war. The air crackled with tension, laden with the scent of burning debris as every news channel replayed the haunting footage of Kael Astra, a lone warrior clad in glowing celestial armor, standing resolute amidst the chaos of Mio City. The echoes of the battle against the Void Soldier reverberated through the minds of billions, marking Kael as humanity's first symbol of hope. Yet beneath his calm exterior, a chilling realization gnawed at him. That battle was merely the beginning. Deep within the underground halls of the World Security Bureau headquarters, emergency meetings ran in endless loops. The atmosphere was heavy, suffused with the metallic tang of urgency as military forces moved into maximum alert status. Kael stood before a massive holographic projection of the solar system, watching as several ominous red dots advanced toward Earth. Commander Marcus Kane walked beside him, his face cast in shadows of worry. "Those ships, they're accelerating," he said, his voice a low murmur. A silent nod from Kael signaled his awareness of the impending threat. The transmission from the Void Soldier reached them. Marcus's frown deepened. "So now they know about you." Kael's gaze was unwavering. "No. They know humanity can resist, and that is far more dangerous." Just then, a frantic scientist rushed into the room, breaking the suffocating silence that had fallen. "Commander, we've completed the analysis on the alien corpse." Holographic images flickered to life, revealing the horrifying biology of the Void Soldier, part organic and part machine, cells that adapted to damage like a predator evolving mid-hunt. Kael crossed his arms, his resolve hardening. "That's exactly what it is. Designed only for war." As the holograms continued to flicker, one image sent a chill through the room. A strange symbol burned within the creature's chest. "That device transmitted data after death," Marcus whispered, narrowing his eyes in understanding. Kael's expression darkened. "It's worse than that. It was a battlefield report." The weight of their reality hung heavy as the implications settled in. "The Void Empire now knows Earth's military capabilities and my existence," Kael added, the truth striking like a blade. Suddenly, the blue system screen illuminated the room, flashing a new mission. Main mission updated. The objective? Prepare Earth for a Harbinger-class assault. Time remaining, 41 days. As the countdown ticked away, dread clawed at Kael's heart. The invasion was hastening, and humanity's time was running out. Far beyond Neptune, space twisted unnaturally as dark crimson portals burst into existence, heralding the arrival of the Harbinger fleet. Gigantic warships, more massive than entire cities, emerged, their surfaces alive with pulsating crimson energy. At the helm, Zerath, the Supreme Emperor, observed Earth with a predatory gaze, a smirk playing on his lips as he contemplated the rise of humanity. Back on Earth, Kael stepped into a heavily secured laboratory, surrounded by the frenetic energy of scientists striving to forge a weapon capable of countering the alien threat. The celestial railgun blueprint hovered above a construction platform, a flicker of hope amidst chaos. "You really believe we can finish this weapon in time?" Marcus questioned, concern etched across his face. "We don't have a choice," Kael replied, his voice steady despite the storm brewing around them. Panic erupted suddenly as a scientist's voice rang out. "The reactor core is destabilizing." Blue sparks erupted, energy surging with wild abandon. Kael sprang into action, recognizing the grave danger. Human technology couldn't yet harness celestial energy. The blue system screen flashed warnings, revealing the harsh truth. Celestial alloy was required, a material that didn't exist on Earth. But in that moment of despair, a memory sparked within him. A meteor crash site from a previous timeline, where humanity discovered a metal that could store alien energy. "I need a military transport," he commanded, locking eyes with Marcus, determination blazing within him. Before Marcus could respond, alarms blared throughout the headquarters, screens turning red with urgency. Massive energy surge detected. The image of the moon flickered ominously as dark cracks spread across its surface. Something enormous was attempting to break free. Kael's heart raced, a mix of fear and disbelief washing over him. The lunar gate was awakening, an event that had never been meant to occur so soon. Far away, Zerath savored the moment, his golden eyes glimmering with anticipation. "The lunar gate is awakening," he purred, a sinister smile gracing his lips. As Kael stared at the impending calamity, shock coursed through him. The stakes had never been higher, and the weight of humanity's survival rested heavily on his shoulders. Yet amidst the chaos, the flicker of hope remained. Hope that they could adapt, evolve, and ultimately resist. In the command center of humanity's last hope, a tense silence enveloped the room. The flickering light of the holographic moon dominated the space, casting eerie shadows that danced across the faces of the scientists and military personnel. Their breaths held, eyes glued to the massive projection, where deep crimson cracks crawled like a malevolent spiderweb across the lunar surface. It was as if the moon itself was screaming in agony. A scientist's quivering voice shattered the stillness. "What is happening?" The question hovered in the air, heavy with dread. Kael, the man burdened with knowledge from a timeline long past, stood frozen, his steely gaze fixed on the moon. This was the first time since his return that something unexpected had materialized, and he understood the danger it heralded. The flickering system alerts screamed warnings at him, each beep echoing the rising panic in his chest. Unknown celestial structure detected, lunar surface integrity falling, dimensional gate activation in progress. Marcus Kane, the head of operations, stepped forward, his face a mask of concern. "You know what this is," he demanded, urgency lacing his voice. Kael nodded slowly, the weight of his revelation pressing down on him like a leaden shroud. "The lunar gate." The room fell into an oppressive silence, hearts racing, as Marcus's frown deepened. "You mentioned nothing about this before," he accused, the accusation sharp enough to cut through the tension. Kael's eyes narrowed, a storm brewing within. "Because it wasn't supposed to activate yet." As chaos unfolded on Earth, telescopes and satellites focused on the moon. Around the globe, billions of souls watched the crimson energy spread, fear gripping their hearts. Some believed the moon was fracturing, others guessed at an alien attack. But the truth, buried beneath layers of time, was far more sinister. In the cavernous depths of the moon, something ancient stirred, awakening after eons of slumber. Back aboard the Void Empire flagship, Zerath, the alien warlord, rose from his throne, golden light glistening off of his armor. His officers knelt before him, a mixture of fear and reverence palpable in the air. "The lunar gate energy is increasing rapidly," one of them reported, eyes downcast. Zerath smiled, a cruel twist of his lips. "So the seal is finally weakening. Let them open it. Humanity deserves to witness true despair." His glowing eyes glimmered with malice as he turned his gaze toward Earth's projection. Meanwhile, within the control room, Kael raced to the central command console. His fingers flew across the holographic controls, ancient lunar maps illuminating the screen with a ghostly glow. An enormous hidden structure emerged, sprawling beneath the moon's crust, a circular mechanism covered in cryptic symbols, dwarfing entire cities in size. Shock washed over one scientist's face. "This structure can't be human," Kael's voice dropped to a near whisper. "It's older than humanity." Marcus, filled with trepidation, asked, "What exactly is the lunar gate?" After a heavy pause, Kael finally uttered the words, each one resonating with the chilling weight of history. "A prison." An icy silence blanketed the room, the truth settling like a dark cloud. Thousands of years ago, an ancient civilization sealed something inside the moon, and during humanity's first timeline, the gate never fully opened. "But now it's activating early," Kael explained, the gravity of his words tightening around their throats. Suddenly, the holographic projection shuddered violently, then erupted in a cataclysmic boom. A massive crimson beam shot into the cosmos, shockwaves rippling through the Earth's atmosphere, causing communication systems to flicker and satellites to explode like fireworks in the night sky. Panic surged through the control room. Dimensional energy rising, gate activation 17%. The alarms blared, and Kael felt the dread gnawing at him. Once the activation reached 100%, something would emerge from within the moon, and based on his fragmented memories, nothing good awaited them. "We're detecting life signs," a scientist shouted, the room freezing in disbelief. "Inside the moon?" Multiple red signals surged on the screen, thousands of them. Marcus's disbelief deepened, reflecting the horror dawning on everyone's faces. "There are living organisms inside that structure," Kael interrupted coldly. "No, those aren't organisms, they're guardians." As the system's screen flickered to life again, the urgency of their situation intensified. "Emergency mission activated. Mission investigate lunar gate. Objective, reach moon before full activation. Reward, celestial alloy location data. Failure, unknown catastrophic outcome. Kael turned to Marcus, determination igniting in his chest. I need access to a spacecraft. The officers erupted in protest, incredulous at the idea. That's impossible. No human ship can reach the moon that fast. But Kael's resolve was unyielding as he pointed towards the orbital maps. The Solaris debris field is still in low orbit. Marcus's eyes widened in realization. You want to rebuild the station into humanity's first warship. The suggestion hung in the air, thick with doubt. Yet Kael had defied odds before, and the room fell into a tense silence, knowing he had been right every time. Suddenly the lights flickered violently, the screens plunging into darkness. A deep, mechanical voice resonated through the facility. Lunar Gate authorization detected. Ancient defense system online. Kael's heart raced, dread pooling in his stomach. The holographic moon shifted, a colossal glowing symbol appearing, followed by a massive red eye, slowly opening within the crater, locking onto Earth. It was watching, waiting. Far away in the depths of space, even Xerath's demeanor shifted, the awakening eye casting a shadow of seriousness over him. The Moon's Sentinel, one of his commanders, stammered in disbelief. You believed it was only a myth. Xerath's voice was grave. Some myths should remain buried. Back on Earth, Kael stood transfixed, staring into the depths of that giant crimson eye. For the first time since his rebirth, fear settled deep within him, a chilling reminder of what lay ahead. In the dimly lit underground headquarters, an unsettling silence enveloped the room, thick like fog, as the eyes of scientists, soldiers, and technicians glimmered with a mixture of fear and awe. Above them, a colossal crimson eye loomed, pulsating with an ancient energy that sent shivers down their spines. The moon, once a distant beacon of dreams, now felt alive, its gaze piercing through the very fabric of their being. Its size was monumental, and its presence was undeniable, an entity that had awakened from the depths of history. One scientist, trembling, whispered, "That thing is looking at us," his voice barely a breath above the static of their monitors. As the giant eye shifted slowly across the lunar surface, scanning not just the Earth, but the essence of humanity itself, it finally paused. The temperature in the room plummeted, and a wave of energy surged forth, causing several monitors to crackle and burst. Alarms blared, a cacophony of warnings echoing off the walls. Unknown consciousness detected, mental pressure increasing. The air grew heavy with dread. Officers collapsed, clutching their heads, blood trickling from their noses, while even the most battle-hardened soldiers gasped for breath. Yet amidst the chaos, Kael Astra stood resolute. Clad in his celestial suit, the fabric shimmering with ethereal energy, he felt a connection to the eye, an unyielding pressure that he resisted with every fiber of his being. "What is this thing?" Marcus Kane exclaimed, desperation tinged in his voice as he turned to Kael, who remained transfixed by the celestial gaze above. "The Moon's Sentinel," Kael replied softly, his voice steady, despite the turmoil surrounding them. Deep within the lunar surface, an ancient structure stirred, awakening from its slumber. Massive metallic rings rotated with a slow, deliberate grace, and primordial symbols illuminated the moon's darkened expanse, veins of light pulsating with life. Meanwhile, far beyond Earth's atmosphere, aboard the Void Empire flagship, alien commanders exchanged nervous glances. "The Sentinel has fully awakened," one murmured, lowering his head toward Xerath, who watched the moon with a mix of intrigue and concern. "So humanity reached this timeline," Xerath mused, the realization heavy on his lips. The commander beside him furrowed his brow, confusion clouding his features. "You expected this?" "No," Xerath replied, his golden eyes narrowing. But the compatible host changed destiny. Kael Astra. Back on Earth, Kael moved swiftly to the command terminal, his heart racing. In his previous life, this moment had never come to pass, and the future now lay shrouded in uncertainty. The stakes had never been higher. Suddenly, the crimson eye glowed with an intensity that pierced through the facility, and an ancient voice resonated through every communication channel on Earth. Unauthorized civilization detected. Planetary trial beginning. Panic erupted worldwide, chaos unfolding as religions crumbled and governments lost their grip on order. No longer did humanity fear invasion, they now trembled before an impending judgment. In the headquarters, scientists scrambled to decipher the signal. "We can't trace its language structure," one exclaimed, a hint of fear creeping into his voice. Marcus turned back to Kael. "What does it mean by trial?" Kael clenched his fists, the weight of the situation pressing down on him like a leaden cloak. It means humanity is being tested. Instantly, a countdown flickered into existence beneath the eye. Trial initiation, 23:59:59. The room fell into a haunting silence as they all realized the gravity of their predicament. Exactly 24 hours remained. A scientist shouted, panic slipping into his tone. We're detecting energy spikes across the planet. Red markers erupted on the map, illuminating deserts, mountains, oceans, and ancient ruins. Kael's expression darkened. Trial gates, he whispered. Kael quickly enlarged one of the markers, revealing a massive underground structure beneath Antarctica, another beneath Egypt, and yet another beneath the vast Pacific. Ancient facilities, hidden from humanity for eons, now lay exposed. These structures were hidden beneath Earth this entire time? Marcus asked, incredulity etched on his face. Kael nodded slowly. The Moon Sentinel controls them. As the system screen lit up again, the mission parameters were clear. Main mission updated. Mission: complete the first planetary trial. Objective: clear a trial gate. Reward: ancient celestial technology. Failure: Earth purged. Time remaining: 24 hours. The gravity of the situation settled heavily on their shoulders, and Kael's gaze was fixated on the horrifyingly low survival probability displayed. 0.007%. If they failed, humanity could vanish before the Void Empire even reached them. A sudden surge of energy brightened one of the trial gate markers. Location: Neo City Underground Sector, it announced, and the ground trembled violently. Buildings cracked, roads splintered, and from the depths, a massive metallic structure emerged. Ancient doors adorned with glowing red symbols. The first trial gate had risen. Kael felt the blue energy crackle to life in his suit as he stared at the gate projection, a spark of determination igniting within him. Marcus grasped his arm, urgency coloring his voice. You're going there. Kael nodded, resolve hardening his features. Yes. But before he could leave, Marcus's voice softened, laced with vulnerability. For once, tell me the truth. Can humanity actually survive this war? For several agonizing seconds, Kael remained silent, the weight of uncertainty pressing down on him. Finally, he looked Marcus in the eyes and spoke the words that shattered the last remnants of hope. I don't know anymore. The fear that filled the room was palpable, a thick fog of despair that threatened to suffocate them all. High above, the Moon Sentinel's crimson eye narrowed, its gaze fixed on Kael, watching, waiting, judging. In that moment, the fate of humanity hung in the balance, teetering on the edge of uncertainty as the countdown to their trial began. And so, Chapter 10 closed on this haunting note, the hope for salvation flickering like a dying star in the vast universe of despair.